Hello, everybody. Sangamon County State's Attorney Dan Wright here, coming to you with another interview in our series of guest interviews for the PUPIL program, Promoting Unity Through Public Interest Law. And if you've seen any of these interviews before, you know that we have had the great honor of having a number of prominent public interest lawyers on our show to talk about their history, their careers, what brought them into careers in public interest law, and also various pieces of information that are valuable for students that are thinking today about whether they may be interested in a career in public interest law in the future. And our mission with PUPIL is to spread awareness about careers in public interest law to make students better citizens, but also future members of the bar in the area of public interest law, which again can be so many different areas of law, whether that's a prosecutor or a public defender, an advocate in the legislature, lobbyist, and so many other areas that students can benefit from having a background in the law in the future, should they choose to pursue that vocation. So today, we have the distinct honor and privilege of having Supreme Court Justice Lisa Holder-White with us today. And just by way of background, there is really no possibility that I can do justice to an adequate introduction of Justice Holder-White, but just very briefly, Justice Holder-White has been a prosecutor, a public defender, a private practice attorney, trial judge, appellate court justice, and now the first Black woman to serve on the Illinois Supreme Court. She is a history maker. She succeeded another history maker on the Supreme Court, Justice Rita B. Garman, who recently retired, and we are privileged to have Justice Holder-White with us today. Thank you very much for being here.
Absolutely, it's my pleasure to be here. I'm looking forward to our conversation.
Thank you. Well, what we start with is just generally, Justice Holder-White, how would you define the field of public interest law in your own words?
I would define the field of public interest law by looking to what it involves. And so when I think of public interest law, I think of an area where we as a society, whether that be through the Constitution, laws, societal norms, where we've made a decision that we're not going to leave people to their own devices. We want to make sure that they have the support and the assistance, or this issue has the support and assistance that it needs from a legal standpoint. And so, that gets into so many different areas, but it is something where we've made a decision, this is important, we want legal support, and we want people to work in this area to make sure that we are advancing our goals, advancing what the mission is as it relates to this area.
What brought you into the field of public interest law? Was there anything that motivated you in particular, any mentors specifically, or people that inspired you to pursue a career in public interest law?
Well, I never thought that I wanted to have, I didn't even really know that there was such a thing as public interest law when the desire grew in me to be an attorney. It was all about, I want to be a lawyer.
Right.
And that really stemmed from my parents and what they saw in me as a child early on in life. I've always been that child who feels like if you'll give me a little bit of your time, I know I can convince you to do this the way that I want you to do this. And also, I've always been a person who roots for the underdog. I like helping people, and I like to think that I've always been a really good listener. And so my parents saw those qualities in me, and even though, no one in my family was a lawyer, had been a lawyer, my older sister was the first person on either side of my family to even graduate from college. But even though that was the case, my parents saw those qualities in me and suggested it to me, and I thought, I think I would like to do that. And so hence the dream was birthed.
Right.
As far as the public interest aspect of it, of course, that led to me going to law school, graduating, and I started out as a prosecutor, which is definitely, public interest. And it just so happened that as my career progressed, I found myself frequently in public interest work.
Excellent. Today we see so many young people are actively engaged in their community, and that is a blessing for all of us. How would you advise students who want to be active in their community and have an impact, not necessarily while they do want to have an immediate impact, there are many ways that they could have a long-term impact by selecting a career that would allow them to have that kind of a long-term impact. And how can people draw upon their own life experiences to pursue a career in public interest law and bring that to bear in that career?
Well, one thing we don't see a lot about on the news is how so many young people are giving back to the community, doing so much, so engaged, so actively involved. And so I would say the first thing that I would encourage young people to do is to be that example, be that person that makes your community proud, be that person that can be counted on, be that person that every parent wants their kid to be. The goal is to raise children who are independent, law-abiding, honest, respectful people who contribute to society. So be that person. And then when it comes down to what areas, I think it's very important to find what you're passionate about, what you're interested in. If you wonder, well, how does that division of government work, or how does that office work, or what does that person do, then find a way to expose yourself to that, and perhaps even reach out to someone in that field and see if they would let you spend a day with them, or have a meeting with them to tell you about what they do and how it all works. I mean, ultimately, the community needs to be a good place for everyone. And so if we all do our part and pitch in, and we're informed citizens, young people have that same responsibility, we can make it a better place for all of us.
Couldn't agree more. And you essentially just said in your own words the maximum that we heard from Gandhi, which is be the change you wish to see in the world, right? And so I think that's great advice that you just shared with the students out there. So on to the next point. If someone decides that they would like to pursue a career in public interest law, or any area of law for that matter, and they're like you and me, and there weren't lawyers in their family before they went to law school, it can be kind of a mystery. And it isn't what you see on Law and Order, right? For the most part. And so how would you advise a student to try to set the course toward getting into law school and being successful in law school and thereafter?
Well, the first step is being a good student. And notice that I didn't say being a good student in any certain area. It's just being a good student and finding what interests you and what you're excited about learning about. Because if you're a good student, then you're going to develop the attributes and the habits and the practices that will help you to be successful. And so, many times people think, well, if you want to go to law school, you need to be a political science major or something like that. But history. I know people who were, musicians and music majors. And I would say if I had to choose a major, I would say that the best major might be English. In terms of, there's a lot of writing and reading and things of that nature involved. And so you need to master those skills. And so by picking a major or an area that you are really interested in, you're more likely to give it your all and to do better at it and to hone your skills while you're working at something you really love. And so choose something you really love, hone those, writing skills and reading skills, communication skills, and then, get ready to go to law school.
Buckle up, right?
Yes. Put your seatbelt on, get ready for the ride.
Right. But it's not an insurmountable challenge, but it does take that grit and dedication. But as you said, it doesn't require particular discipline. I went to law school with some engineers and some people from the hard sciences. And when I met them, I thought, wow, that's unusual, but it is not. But you always do hear about major in political science, major in history, but it really is developing those study habits and reading and writing as much as possible.
And I really want to say to the young people watching, or even people who maybe are not the young people but are thinking about a career. I mean, because my mom went to college at the age of 50 and became a teacher, and then went on to get her master's and became a principal. And so, anyone out there thinking about it, it's not insurmountable at all. And, it's about the mindset. Not only do you have to have, you need to be serious about what you're going to accomplish, but you need to have the ability for deferred gratification, something that my mom always really preached with us three girls. You can have it all, but you can't maybe have it all at the same time.
Right.
And so you need to go in with the mindset that this is my goal. I will accomplish my goal. I'm prepared. I can do this. And just know that at the end of the day, when the 3 years are up, either you will have a law degree or you won't. But the time is going to pass either way. And so go in knowing that you are going to finish and that you are up to the task, and then put yourself in a situation where you can do your very best. You know, set yourself up for success. It makes no sense to, you know, overextend yourself, and you know, maybe you can't have the fancy car or the fancy clothes or whatever because you're a student, and you know, you have bills to pay as far as tuition or whatever, but you'll get past that, you'll accomplish your goal, and then you'll be able to get back to maybe some of those other things that you would like to do.
Case in point about how you're never too old to go to law school. My dad and I started law school together at St. Louis University. He was working in the corporate world and is just a lifelong student. And I was getting ready to take the LSAT, which for those of you who don't know out there, it's kind of like the GRE, or it's the entrance exam to get a score and then pass along to law schools as part of the admission process. Yeah, right. So he finished and got his law degree, and it was so much better for it. So that's a testament to the fact that if you set that goal, it doesn't matter if you're 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, you can do it if you commit.
Absolutely. And what I like about that is the perspective that each student brings, you know, each lawyer brings, each judge brings. You know, we all have different experiences in life, and we have different perspectives and different, you know, experiences that have shaped who we are and how we view the world. And so when we have people who maybe decided later in life to, you know, pursue a law degree or whatever, they have a unique perspective and they have some really important experience. And that's something that younger people can learn from, and then they can also learn from younger people because of their perspective. I mean, how many times do we say, oh my goodness, the kids today have it so hard, it's so different, it's not like, you know, when I was growing up. And so we can learn from each other and benefit from that joined experience.
Yeah, so true. You make a great point about, you know, law school's not easy, right? And it's delayed gratification. But one thing I think it's important for folks out there to remember who are interested is that you're not alone, and you have folks that are going through that experience with you. But you also have people who have been through it before, whether it be a career services office or lawyers in your community. That's part of the reason that we started PUPIL, is to try to be a resource for not only students who are interested, but students that may be going through the process that have questions for those that have been through it before, to try to help them to see what's on the other side of what seems sometimes like an insurmountable task.
Absolutely. I mean, law school is hard, but it's definitely not insurmountable. I think really the most important thing is to get yourself in the right position when you start law school, and prioritize and know what your priority is. You know, it might be difficult to, you know, work a full-time job and go to law school and have a family, but people have done it. And so it's just a matter of getting those priorities in order and doing what you need to do to get done.
Justice Holder-White, thank you so much for your time. It's been a great pleasure.
Absolutely.
Thank you.